If you're able, I invite you to stand with us, and we're going to begin with a word of prayer. I'm going to call on our county engineer, Lynn Rawls, to open the meeting with prayer. And then, if you will, remain standing with us, and we'll join in the pledge to the flag.
All right,
Lynn?
let's pray. Heavenly Father, again, we just thank you for this day that you've blessed us with each and every day. Lord, thank you to all these men and women here that have served our country with great honor and defending our country for the freedom we enjoy today. Lord, I ask you now to watch over this meeting, and we may conduct it in ways to be pleasing to you, Lord, as we conduct our county business. And Lord, I say all this in many blessings, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Now, if you will, join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We're thrilled to have all of you with us today. Just to tell you what I think how we will approach this, we have some special presentations to make, and the thought is that we'll have those presentations, recognize those special guests, and then recess for 5 or 10 minutes so we'll have time to greet one another, and those that might need to leave to get back to jobs or whatever would be free to leave, but we certainly welcome you to stay with us for the entire meeting or any part of it that you'd like. If you need to slip out at any time during the meeting, that's not inappropriate and will not bother us in the least. So we are thrilled that you are interested in the business of the commission, and certainly the special acknowledgments that are going to be made today. It's a unique opportunity, we think, from the commission's perspective, so we're thrilled to participate. There's several that are here. I think that'll be introduced appropriately as we get started, but one person I'd like to acknowledge who is not part of the presentation ceremony today, but has made a point to come, and that's our friend John Vick. John is heavily involved in acknowledging veterans for their service to our country and our community over the years. And for that, I appreciate John, appreciate you being here today. He was appropriately recognized by the Endlers Chamber about a week ago for his service, and we join them in expressing thanks to John. And with that said, I'd like to call on Brian Foshee, who is a Veterans Affairs Officer for our county, to come and lead us through this Korean War Awards portion of our agenda.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank everybody for coming. On behalf of the State of Alabama Department of Veteran Affairs, my district manager, Ms. Linda Jenkins, who is over there in the corner, appreciate everybody coming here today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read over some background for the medal, and I'm actually going to read the medal citations for each veteran, and we want all the veterans to remain seated, and then I believe Mr. Kyle's going to come up here. The county commission is going to read a proclamation, and at that point, we're going to ask for each veteran to come forward. We're going to present them with the individual medal and then with a proclamation from the county. Okay? So the Ambassador for Peace Medal began to be presented to veterans as a special memento for those who returned to South Korea through the Revisit program. The honor has since expanded to veterans who cannot travel the long journey to Korea. South Korea originally offered the medal in 1951 to all United Nations forces serving in Korea and adjacent waters. But at the time, U.S. law prohibited members of the military from wearing medals issued by foreign governments. Congress changed the law in 1954, but by then, most U.S. service members eligible for the medal had returned home. In 1998, the government of the Republic of Korea renewed its offer to the medal to be awarded to U.S. veterans of the war. To be eligible, the veterans must have served in Korea's land, air, or sea during the Korean War from June 25, 1950 to July 27, 1953. It is also available for the veterans who have participated in the UN peacekeeping operations until the end of 1955. Now, this is an actual excerpt from the consulate speech. More than 60 years ago in Korea, the men and women of the American Armed Forces fought for a land and a people they did not know. They fought for noble ideals we all understand, freedom and democracy. The Korean War is often called the Forgotten War, but I can guarantee that the Korean people have not forgotten you. Korea has not forgotten the soldiers who sit here today. Korea has not forgotten the soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice so that our country could grow, thrive, and help other nations as they once helped us. Korea has not forgotten the 700 men and women from Alabama who lost their lives in Korea. Men like Ola Mize, who was awarded the Medal of Honor for his bravery at Outpost Harry. Each successive generations of Koreans have been taught of the great valor shown by all the men and women who fought during the war. They have been taught the value of freedom and democracy once defended on the field of battle. As you may know, the Ambassador of Peace Medal is an expression of the appreciation from the Korean government to the American servicemen and women who fought for our country's freedom during the Korean War. Awarding this medal is a great privilege for me. All right, the Ambassador for Peace, official proclamation. Charles E. Ratchford, William J. Robinson, Abner G. Jones. It is a great honor and pleasure to express the everlasting gratitude of the Republic of Korea and our people for the service you and your countrymen have performed in restoring and preserving our freedom and democracy. We cherish in our hearts the memory of your boundless sacrifices in helping us reestablish our free nation. In grateful recognition of your dedicated contributions, it is our privilege to proclaim you as an ambassador for peace. With every good wish of the people of Korea, let each of us reaffirm our mutual respect and friendship that they may endure for generations to come. From the Minister, Patriots, and Veterans Affairs, Republic of Korea. All right, Mr. Adam.
Proclamation for the Korean War veterans. Whereas over 60 years ago, the men and women of the American Armed Forces fought for freedom and democracy for the people of Korea, with almost 37,000 Americans paying with their lives for the cause. And whereas the Ambassador for Peace Medal is presented to veterans that served in Korea's land, air, or sea during the Korean War from June 25, 1950 to July 27, 1953, as well as veterans who participated in UN peacekeeping operations until the end of 1955. And whereas the Ambassador of Peace Medal is an expression of appreciation from the Korean government to the American servicemen and women. Whereas the following individuals are being presented with the Ambassador for Peace Medal from the Republic of Korea for their service. Now, therefore, on behalf of all the citizens, the Covington County Commission does hereby present this proclamation to Dalton Barr, William Robinson, Abner Gillis Jones, and Charles Ratchford, and encourage all who see this to join with the County Commission in recognizing the tremendous sacrifices that made by these individuals in the cause of democracy and freedom. Proclaim this 12th day of February 2019.
So Brian, if the veterans are able to come forward to the podium, is that where you want to make the presentation?
Yes, sir. We're going to call you up, Mister. We're going to call you up one by one.
Hey, Brian, let's make these pictures good. Y'all can get to this
Okay.
background right here.
All right, Mr. William J. Robinson, sir. You'll stand here and face about and
Just a little bit, Brian.
come on over toward.
There we go.
Is that good?
Mr. Robinson, if you'll stay close, if you'll sit in that chair over there, we may call you up for one more picture when this is all over. I think we'd all love to get in one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tony, you want to do that? You want to present the next one?
No.
Can you let Kyle handle it?
All right, Mr. Charles Ratchford. We can help him hold it. We can help him hold it. Can you look at Miss Michelle and smile right there?
All right, here we go.
Can you smile? That's perfect. All right, all right. Can we have you sit right over here, please, sir? To one of the gentlemen who's been in my office a couple times, Mr. Jones, Abner G. Jones. We know you can smile.
I just can't move this morning. I'm 9 years old.
Now, see, Mr. Jones, you can smile. Come on, Don. I got a smile.
Piece of picture.
The light sometimes reflects.
Okay. I didn't know you by having right here.
Yeah, that's what nobody knows about Abner. I didn't even know he went in the army.
All right. And then you, what about the other one, the bar? No family here?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
Dalton Barr is recently deceased, but we'll present that appropriately to the family when we make contact. So, if y'all don't mind, we'll recess for 5 minutes, grab a quick picture. The whole commission would like to jump in if you don't mind, and then we'll start back. So thank y'all so much.
I gotta just sit back and try to get a great picture of that. I got some paper right here. Yeah, that's all I got in there. Now, they, Joe wrote there, and I have North Coast, I had, if I came out, his picture went in. He does. We are very, very lucky to have him here. Did you get a picture?
His sister's 94.
He's got some good genes.
What's the status of justice over here? Yeah. We got the site cleared, we got the site's totally cleared.
Even noticed it when I came by.
Yeah, it's totally cleaned up, and I'm just waiting on the governor. We got still a fence. I've even got grass seed on it. Hopefully it'll be up before she gets here. I already got my brother that comes split the road. They have the thing, get everything cleaned up, tidied up.
Was that next week?
It's the 20. When's the governor coming? 26. So it's about 2 hours.
Be there?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, tell Becky that the saddle club has, we have $7,600. And they have.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, the paving standards, and everywhere you go, your pavement is that outside. These things, when I was small, anyway, I was there all the time. That's a good picture.
I'm working on my 64.
But we do.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if we can get the veterans and their families to accompany us to the conference room across from my office, Ms. Gerlach would like to have a little sit down with each veteran and get some of their experiences from their time in country in Korea. So if y'all will please follow us.
Picture about 35 years ago, I'll show you right now. I haven't seen them. I saw two about 2 years ago.
First time I was aware of it, I still had cows over there in 95.
Karen, thank
And
you.
I found cow pens in that little shed that we put in. I still have it. And I haven't really seen any of it.
Oh, damn, I don't know where the conference room is. Leave it as close as we can.
Have a good day. Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
Brian led charge on this one.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. Thank y'all for working with us through that. Thought it was a unique opportunity, very fitting acknowledgement of the service of those gentlemen. So, appreciate Brian coordinating that kind of thing, and he's doing an excellent job from the Veterans Affairs Office for our citizens of our county. Next on the agenda is Rick Clifton from the Covington County Economic Development Commission. And Rick's gonna give us a very brief update of his efforts, those of his office, and we welcome you to the meeting. Rick.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all. We consider the commission as a partner in what we try to do and promote Covington County and market Covington County. Our partners include the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama, Power South, Commerce, Southeast Alabama Gas. All of these entities help support what we're trying to do. But without your financial support, we couldn't do anything. What I wanted to do is kind of give you an update. When we look back on 2018, you said, well, what went on? What did we do? Well, the main thing we did was Shaw. And we worked with y'all on Shaw to get that done. And that was a biggie. A $250 million project doesn't come along very often. May have been the biggest one in the southeast part of the state for sure. So that was cementing 1,000 jobs for our future. That's kind of our base. So from that we need to go forward. I think you list at the airport, DynCorp at the airport, those were big because that takes financial burden off of the county and Lucia and all. So those are three of the big things that happened. We still have some projects that I'd mentioned to y'all before. We still have those projects in the works. We had 8 active projects last summer, and that's kind of unheard of. We probably didn't have 8 active projects in the previous 4 years. So things are looking up. There's a lot more activity, but it takes a while for that activity to lead to a groundbreaking. I was pleased to work with the council for the residential project. That's going to be a real boon to our area. Right now, like I said, we still have a lot of those projects are still in the works. What you'll find happen is that a project, they get all in a hurry and they want all this information, and you give them all this information, and then then they evaluate it, and it takes them forever. I think I may have told you that Seth told me one time, he said Airbus was a 9-year project. We won the commercial side, we lost the commercial side, we maintained the relationship with the people, and then we ended up getting the defense side was what we won and lost, and then we ended up with the commercial side, and now with the expansion with Bombardier, we really, I think, went the right way with that project. So I've told y'all before that the economic development is more of a marathon than a sprint. The groundbreaking is the last thing in the project. So what we do is we try to put out Covington County in everything we do. We can sit in our office and we'll never get a phone call. So it's up to us to go out and market our county. We do that through trade shows. Jacob is at the Poultry Association trade show in Atlanta this week, and they say, well, why are you there? Those people manufacture equipment for the poultry industry. If they're looking at expanding, we want them to know where we are and what we can do for them. Jacob also, I don't know why Jacob's getting to go to all the shows. Anyway, Jacob went to the SHOT Show, which is a big gun show. Well, why did we go there? Well, he went there to talk to Kimber, that Kimber's going to Troy. And Kimber, we talked with Kimber, put Kimber in touch with Global and Op for machining purposes. We talked to Benny Keith. We met with Benny Keith at one of the marketing events that our region holds. We talked to Benny Keith, and we put Benny Keith in touch with Hudamaki as far as packaging. So what we're trying to do is not only market from out of the state, out of the country, but we're also trying to put people together locally that can help each other. We talked with Shaw. Kimber was putting carpet in, and so at that same event, we had Shaw talking with Kimber. We had the Hudamaki folks talking with Kimber because Kimber needs packaging for their products. So those are the type of things we do. We are the marketing arm for the county. We are the representative for the county for grants. So if LBW wants to get a grant for a new nursing project, they propose that grant and we vote on it as the county representative at our regional workforce development meeting. So if there's a project that goes through our county and that project requires state action, we are the registering agent for that project. So we've registered all these projects. I can talk with you about some of the projects that are still active, ongoing, be glad to, but I want to come in and thank you for your support. Without your support, we can't do what we're trying to do. And like I said, everywhere we go, we try to market the county and put our best foot forward. And I appreciate all that y'all do in trying to do economic development for our county.
Rick, one thing that we have, I'll mention that on the 26th, we'll have a groundbreaking that the commission is hosting here on these properties that will be of interest, and Economic Development Commission and others are helping us accomplish that. But we'll have a groundbreaking and a formal announcement, so that's another project that was started in 2018 that is being completed or brought to fruition in 2019. So, anybody have questions for Rick? Comments? He mentioned Shaw, Ulyssa, and DynCorp, and those were three major accomplishments from the economic development efforts of our communities at large, and we appreciate y'all taking the lead on those. Any questions or comments? I've asked Rick to hang with us. There are two or three things he can mention to us that are not yet for public disclosure, but from an economic development standpoint, we need to be aware because we'll be asked to participate beyond what we already have in certain things. So probably 10 minutes afterwards, if that's okay with the commission. And I know you have a conference call to get to. If we run long, we'll just reschedule that. But if you can stay with us for a while, that'd be great.
Be glad to.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you coming, appreciate the efforts that y'all are making. Next, we have on the agenda, public comment from elected officials, and we do have two or three with us, and we certainly would recognize any of you at this time. If you'd like to come up and make comment, this is the time for it. We may call on you at a later time if there's a specific action item that we would like your input on. But if not, we will move. Yes, sir.
I'll say something.
We'll be glad for you to. If you'll come to the podium up there, we'll limit you to 30 minutes.
Well, I just wanted to tell y'all that we've been working hard at the sheriff's department trying to get things where they need to be and everything, and that we recently had to go through our jail, and we've seen some things that need some work there, and I have 4 boxes of contraband here. Now, there's no drugs or free samples here, but I'm gonna put them out here for you guys to look at and everything, and just to kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with, but also to reinforce that we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. So if you will, just bear with me, and we'll get everything taken care of at this jail, and I really look forward to working with you guys.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody have any questions, comments on it? Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate you being with us today. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, approval of the minutes from the January 22 meeting, and also the accounts payable and payroll for January of 2019. Commissioners have had those available. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll move that motion. Second.
Motion and second. Any corrections that need to be noted? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those are approved. One thing I wanted to make sure to mention, I'm afraid I'll forget if I don't do it now, is Kenneth Northey is absent today. Kenneth has a daughter who is having surgery in Birmingham, so please keep them in your prayers, and we'll just pray that they'll have a good and successful day today. Hate that he had to miss the meeting. We have nothing under old business, so we'll move on to new business, and we have, first of all, consideration of some solicitations for bids. I think we're being asked to approve soliciting bids on these two items. Is that right? Or we have bids?
No, do you want?
I can explain it, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Lynn, if you would.
We had approved bids for a herbicide truck last meeting. I received the bids, and only one bidder came in. Well, after our meeting, I had an overnight package with the title of the truck. It did not meet the bid specs. We're going to have to rebid. I just asked the county to re-solicit, so we can solicit bids.
So we're being asked to solicit,
Yes.
approve the solicitation bids for the herbicide.
It didn't meet
truck.
our specifications, so.
So is there a motion to approve soliciting bids for herbicide truck?
I'll make a motion.
And, all right, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Yep.
All right, Tony, second. How long will the bids be open? How long, you gonna advertise?
It'll be
that?
2 weeks, all of them, next meeting, but I need to reject, you know, I think we approved the last meeting, but it was when I got the actual title.
Okay, we'll come back to that then, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
But, all right, so we have a motion to rebid on the herbicide truck. Is 2 weeks enough time? Is that why
Yes.
you only received one this time, because we didn't give enough time?
There was enough time,
Okay.
there's only one bidder.
All right, there's a motion and a second. If nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll request to open for bids for the herbicide truck. We need a motion to reject the bid received because it did not meet specs.
I'll make a motion.
All right, there's a motion.
Second.
Need a second, Joe, second. Any questions on that? Everybody okay with that? Was it a major failure to meet specs?
Just
or
1 year. They checked all the boxes, but I guess they just overlooked the year of the truck. So
Okay.
that was the holdup. It was just the year model. It was a year off.
Is it significant enough that we have to reject it, or is it?
It was part of the bid specs.
Yeah, it was part of the bid spec. Yeah, we had to
I
reject it,
understand.
yes.
Okay,
Law.
all right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Next item is asphalt. Lynn, that's under you as well?
Yes, we generally have an annual bid, and we generally give them a 3-year option just to renew, and that is up this year. So we'll need to rebid our annual asphalt bid, laid in place and picked up at the plant.
Okay, so is there a motion to solicit bids on asphalt? So moved, Joe.
Yes.
Second by Tony. You may have questions on this or need clarification?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that's approved. All right, we have next three boards that are subject to appointment, certain slots on those boards, the rec board, the OCAP board, and the Covington County Industrial Development Board Authority. Let's deal with the rec board first. I know Kyle has been lead for the commission in the field of recreation and for a number of years, and we'll ask you, Kyle, to bring this up.
The first thing on that is I'd like the county to consider changing the board appointments from 3 appointments to 5 appointments.
So you want to expand the board?
Expand the board by 2 members.
All right, presently, let's make sure we understand there are 3 appointed members of the board, but there are also two official members of that board that are league members.
Yes.
All right, and you're wanting to expand that 5 to 7,
Yes.
so 7 active board members?
Yes.
All with a voice?
And the reason behind expanding is those 2 league members, they could change year in and year out. We need some consistency within that board.
But it's not a 5-member board with 2 ex officio, it's 7
Yes.
members now. So the ask is to expand the board by 3 slots.
By 2 slots.
Two slots, sorry, total, all right, it's total of 7. Is there, you wanna make that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, conversation about that, discussion.
I think we've discussed it enough.
And the next part is I think there's been some,
All right, let's vote on that.
okay, go
All right,
ahead.
we have a motion and a second to expand the board by 2 slots, total of 7 board members. All in favor of that change to the bylaws, I guess, is it bylaws of the committee or rec
It's
board?
actually governed by the Title 11, the Code of Alabama for the Board of Directors, and it says that it shall consist of any number of directors, but not less than 3.
Okay, so we're just expanding it by
Yes.
resolution in effect, so all in favor of adopting the resolution to expand that board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.
And we do have 1 opening on it, now 3 openings, but we would like to wait until the next meeting to consider those
Okay.
3 openings.
All right, so no appointments today. All right, next is the OCAP board. Karen, tell us about that slot.
Miss Nancy Robbins has been serving in that position. She was appointed to fill an existing term that was held by Miss Linda Sconyers, who passed away during her term. Miss Nancy has expressed interest to be reappointed, and so that will be a 5-year term that will be expiring if she is the one reappointed.
All right. I'd certainly love to see Nancy reappointed. I appreciate anybody that's willing to give their time, voluntarily to a board like this. The OCAP board serves a lot of underprivileged folks in our communities, so they do meet a very vital need. Commissioners, you have thoughts on considering reappointing Nancy or something different that you'd like to do?
I make a motion to reappoint her.
Nancy Robbins, all right, there's a motion, is there a second?
I second.
Anybody else have someone to consider?
I think she's done a fine job.
All right, we have that nominee, so all in favor of reappointment of Nancy Robbins to the OCAP board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll consider her reappointed. We'll notify the OCAP board and Miss Nancy as well. Next is Covington County Industrial Development Authority, and there are two openings, or two board seats that are up for a reappointment or replacement. Those two are held by Rudon Taylor and Milner Perry. I was able to talk to Rudon Taylor. He's more than willing to serve again if the commission so desires. And Milner, I've been unable to get yet. I know he's certainly been heavily involved in that sort of thing over the years. I was able to talk to his son, which is not the same as talking to Milner, but I feel like Milner would be more than willing to serve. He's from the Florilla area, and Rudon is from up in the District 4, Red Level, and north of Red Level. So y'all have thoughts on other possible members for those boards, or a motion to reappoint those two would be appropriate?
Make a motion that we reappoint those two.
All right.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reappoint. And do you know what term of office these are for?
That's a 6-year term.
6-year term, all right. If there are no other names to submit, then we have the motion and second and to reappoint. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. So those seats are filled, that board is full. Next on the agenda is consider county levies for alcohol licensing, page 35 and 36 in your packet. And I'm assuming these are the same standard rates,
Yes.
and I think they're probably a maximum
They are.
in almost, if not every spot. And so we would just need approval of these unless you want to decrease the rates levied for alcohol licensing. If not, then a motion to approve this levy amount would be in order.
I'd make a motion to approve the levies as they are.
All right.
I'll second.
Anybody have a question or comment on that?
No, sir.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, those are approved again. And we have a request to consider club liquor license. Page 37 to 41 is the information on this application. It's been properly submitted to the ABC board for review and brought back to us for our consideration at this time. It's American Legion, Post 157, located on US Highway 29 North, Dozier, Alabama. And anybody have thoughts on that? I guess, Kyle, is that in your district?
It is.
Anything you want to tell us about it, or make a motion to approve?
They already have liquor license. I make a motion that we continue on.
All right, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
What is the change? Is it just change of management, or?
It makes them a club per se, like the VFW or the other ones. It just changes some of the rules that they have to abide by.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second to review or approve this change in the license. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. It's unanimous, 3-0. Unless you abstain. Okay. We had a request to consider reversing surplus declaration, page 42. In the Sheriff's Department, there was an F-150 previously declared surplus, but the Sheriff's Department would like to keep that vehicle. All right, is there a motion to reverse
I have a
that
motion to
declaration?
remove it from surplus and place it back in service for the sheriff's office.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Questions, comments, thoughts on that? So I guess guess the lesson for us to learn is if we declare a surplus, we better sell it in a hurry or you'll put it back in use. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. There's one item that's not on the agenda, but I know there are folks here with an interest in this, and there was a request, Sheriff, to consider some video enhancements in the communication system of the jail. Do you want to, I don't know that we're ready to act on that at this meeting, but I certainly think it'd be appropriate to raise the issue for discussion, answer questions, and so forth. And it may be that we have to bring it back to the floor for the next meeting. So,
What this is a system that can be set up in each individual block of the cell, each individual block of the jail, excuse me. Right now, we have certain days of the week for visitation. And it is, with our manpower need, you know, what we have in manpower and what we have in the jail and everything, it's quite a feat to ensure everybody gets a chance to see their family members. When you're in jail, your family's in jail as well. Whether you, no matter what you've done, everybody in there's got a mom and a dad, and they want to see their kids. And this system is actually set up to go into the cells and everything. It's like a closed monitor system where you can stand there and talk into the screen. And you see them, they see you, and there's no actual movement from the cell blocks to the visitation area. And what this offers is a little more safety for our officers and a little bit more convenience for the inmates that are in there. I know they're inmates and they're not in there for singing in the choir, but we do need to offer them some type of means to communicate with their families. And I recommend that we look into this. This is not going to cost us a penny. It won't cost the county anything. The only people that are going to be getting any kind of cost on this is actually the manufacturer of this system and the inmates that do choose to use it, because it'll be just like a phone call where they have to pay for, you know, the phone calls, and it'll come out of their pocket. And also, this will offer opportunity for people to communicate with their family members that can't come up here. Just the other day, I had a lady call wanting me to accommodate her because she's on oxygen, and having to bring her up here and go through all that is quite the ordeal. This type of system and everything could alleviate those problems. They're a lot more familiar with the actual way that this thing works. I've looked into it. I think it is a good idea. It's a good thing for our county. It's a good thing to keeping our officers safe and people in communication with their family.
I know there was a question raised about is there a fee that's passed to the inmates? And if you want to come up, and help him answer questions, that'd be appropriate.
I'm Greg Bartlett. I work with Combined Public Communications. I'm a retired sheriff, so I kind of know his ordeals he's going through. And this is Chastity. What we're offering is a video visitation system that the inmates can visit from inside the jail. Family members can either come up to the jail or they can also visit from home. So the only cost, I may have misspoke to the sheriff last night when I mentioned it, the inmates won't pay anything extra. The family member on the outside, if they want to visit on the outside at home, or they can visit from their phone or anywhere they get self-service or internet service. They can go to McDonald's and visit off their cell phone or iPad. They won't have any cost. The actual inmates won't have actual cost. So only thing we're going to do is just offer the service. It's about a $70,000 piece of equipment, or total investment for us, and that's why we're asking for extension of the contract to help us recoup our money. And hopefully, we got all this equipment. When it comes time to renew it, maybe you'll stay with us and renew it.
What I'd like for us to do is look at how we can frame this. If it's desirable, reduces the chance of contraband coming and going and that sort of thing. That sounds good. Certainly don't want to keep folks from being able to visit with families. But if one of the parts of the contract, in this sort of contract, is the fees that are going to be assessed. Otherwise, the fees can go through the roof. But the contract says they're going to be at this level. And I don't think the current contract or document addresses video conferencing. It may, but if it doesn't, then that's a change to the contract.
There won't be any fee to the inmates at all.
Yeah, but to their families. It's being assessed to somebody, so we really need to look and see.
Well,
because
that's if they use it. That's
Yeah,
only
if they use it. If they don't, then we're no point putting it in, so we
Well,
expect
no,
them to use it.
the point of putting it in is for the jail staff, the security, the jail staff and the inmates of transferring inmates from the back to the front.
So
And that's where
you-
they get in their
so-
fights and that kind of thing.
So you'll have a console up front in some public area that
Yes.
family
Yes.
members would go to
Yes.
visit inmates that are in the back, not have,
They won't do a face-to-face
Yeah.
anymore. They'll do, it's like a video visit from, like a Skype kind of thing.
Is
From the
it-
back of the jail to the front of the jail. Or if they wish to do it at home, they can do it at home.
and there's a fee. If I Skype on my phone, I don't think there is a fee to that, but if I Skype to your facility, then there's a fee assessed back to me. If I'm the guy on the outside, I get
Correct,
assessed a per
correct,
minute
yes.
fee.
This is very similar to what y'all did with, I think when you had your commissary service, you extended your commissary service contract. When you built the new part of the jail, you added kiosks back there in the back. And
It's kind of the same
it's the
principle.
same principle. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just extend the contract where we can recoup our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't change the current contract, it's the same term.
We
same-
can't change the length of contract, though. Our bid specs came in and it was for a 3-year bid. We can't change the terms.
We cannot renew
It's under state law, under the bid law.
They
contract.
do it all over the state. That's the reason
I guess there's some questions, I've just been presented with it, so there's some questions of whether or not it would need to be bid out,
Let us look at it.
so.
I mean,
we'll get with
I
you.
think that there's satisfaction with your service and what
Right,
you're
right.
offering, and we
Well,
appreciate that.
there's no way to bid that particular service out. If we've got the phone contract, we've got all communication, in our wording of the contract, it should say, I'm feel sure it does, that we have all communication or controlled inmate communication at the, outside
For
world.
that certain 3-year term.
Right, right.
And
So
you're
we'll
asking
look
it to
at
be
that.
extended.
So it's just an addendum to
And
extend it
it's
so
not,
that,
This is to
it's
give-
not unusual to extend a contract.
no,
No.
You just have to vote to do that. And,
Right.
I mean, you can have a contract that you extend by 3 years.
right.
Not
Under
if,
state
not
law.
if you bid it out.
You bid it out for
and
3
the
years
specs say
without-
that you cannot, you cannot have a renewal in it, that's the
There is no
problem.
renewal, there's no,
I'll have to go back and
if it
look.
rejects, if it declares you cannot renew this, then that's one thing, but most contracts for term can be renewed
They
for
just-
3 more years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're just
That's
doing,
fine.
asking for an addendum to add to
Yeah,
the
but-
service.
But if it changes the terms, and I think that's where the concern is, are we changing the terms if we say, yes, there is a fee to the outside party? Because we've limited what a phone call's gonna cost.
It's the exact same terms and conditions that you have
Same-
in your current contract.
Same rate as a phone call?
Yes, sir, it's all the same, nothing changes.
No
It's
change in the
same
dollars.
exact contract that you
Right.
currently have.
That's fine. Okay, that wasn't clear.
Right,
Yes, sir.
right.
A call is a call.
A call is a
And if
call.
it's a
and
video
visit
call
is
that
a
costs
visit.
20 cents a minute, and an audio call that's 20 cents a minute, then I'd say, yes, those are the
Yes,
same terms.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
I'd
it's
be-
not any,
okay.
it's not any change at all to your current contract. It's the same terms, it's the same conditions.
Let us review it and make sure we understand fully and or feel like we're in compliance, because it's on us to be in compliance with the law. And we'll review
The
that.
way I understand it, the cost is, as far as the actual consumer, is the same.
Yeah, okay.
They just got an option, you wanna talk to them or you wanna look at them when you speak to them. And, they just need it extended long enough to cover their equipment.
What's the normal practice? Do you, limit the hours? Do you say you
Well,
have
actually,
access
you
to
can
that?
extend the hours. Right now, they probably do visitation just a couple days a week, and it's because of having to move people in and out, like move inmates in and out. This, you can extend it, 5 days a week if you want to, and extend the hours later in the afternoon, so family members can come after hours. All they have to do, they can set up through our system, they can set up a visit for tomorrow, and then they can go to the system, go to our system and set up a visit for 24 hours in advance.
So-
And they can come down at 9 or 8 o'clock at night if the sheriff's office is open that late.
So the call is initiated, the video conference is initiated from the inmate or from the outside?
Well, the video is initiated from the family member. They set up their visit from the outside world. They communicate over the phone, I want to visit with you tomorrow night or whatever, daddy gets off work or whatever. And then the family member will set that visit up, and then the inmate will be back there in the back. He can see in the screen when he's got a visit scheduled.
Okay.
So they can see who, and they can do the PREA the Prison Elimination Act, that is on the screen also. They have to sign off on that they've read that, and that help y'all with lawsuits down the future. You know, if somebody gets assaulted and didn't report it kind of thing. And it lets the inmates know what their rights are in the jail.
It also has the inmate handbook is also on there too, so the inmates have access to that. It does grievances, it does all the medical forms, it does everything, you know, it kinda takes a lot of the
Kind of takes the paper
manpower.
away from
Digitizes
the sheriff's office having to do
documents,
that.
It just kinda brings you up to,
Yeah.
you know,
With inmates, let's say there's an inmate that wants to hog that, he wants to sit on it for an hour, how do you manage that?
The inmates will get allotted, when they set up the system, when they come in and set it up, you know, if the sheriff says he wants them to visit once a week or twice a week, they can get their visit. Once they get their visit, they sign in with their ID and their PIN number, and it's, so I know I get a visit on Monday, and I only get one visit, if it's just one visit. The system won't allow that inmate to log back in to another video visit. Now, he can get in and see the law library and that kind of stuff, you know, that type of thing. But he can't actually do another visit until his time is in the next week, or, you know, later in the week.
and they're set for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the sheriff decides, so
We
they can't
control
sit
that.
back there on it for 2 or 3 hours. They're allotted
So your
times.
proposal is to put a kiosk in cell block A, B, C,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's
The
like, it's probably
female-
gonna end up being around 17, roughly 17 kiosks probably.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
we haven't done the actual walkthrough, but we've talked to them over the phone about what it would take. And it's,
So
like I said,
basically, just be one at a time, though, just one. One inmate can visit.
well, yeah, actually, the whole jail can visit at the same time, you know, in each cell block. I mean,
Right.
one inmate for a 20-minute allotment in that cell block, and then, you
If
know,
you've got a whole week to cover one block, you
I'm
can
with
do it very easily.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
it kind of spreads out the visitation where they
Right.
got more access
Oh,
to, you know.
Yes, sir.
It also cuts down on your traffic coming in and out of your lobby over in the jail. There won't
Hmm.
be near as, you know, much
Yeah.
opportunity for contraband to be brought in, like all these boxes of
Hmm.
contraband. That'll be cut down tremendously because you won't have the same opportunity to get
It
it back
cuts
there.
down traffic in the lobby, it cuts it down in the parking lot as well.
Right.
okay.
They toss stuff over the fence, if we can control that a little bit. Anything that we can do to help alleviate that, I'm for it.
Yes, sir.
Just kind of
Thank
keeps
you.
them in their
We have,
car.
we've had access to this for a few days, and y'all forgive us for not being fully informed on it, but you've answered a lot of questions, and we'll come back to it and try to plan to have it on the agenda for the next meeting. Hope that's not too long a delay and creates a hardship for y'all.
That'd be
All
fine.
right, good.
Right.
Appreciate y'all being here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sheriff, thank you. Appreciate it. Next item is reports from staff. Do we have any that have comments? Go back to the elected officials. We'll open the floor for you again. Yes, sir.
I just wanna let y'all know, last year that y'all voted to let the probate office purchase some new software for recording. We have that fully implemented in our recording section. And we had that, we went live on that in January in probate court. And so I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the public about how it's easy to use and how they're enjoying it and back in the vault when they come in to do title opinions and look at things. And so things are going really well.
Good.
Thank you.
It's good to get a positive report. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wanted to make sure that everybody realizes that February's here and property taxes are due. If you wait till after February, March 1st, we're doing certified mail, so that goes up $7 per parcel. So please, if you know anybody that paid their property taxes, please come in our office or call us.
All right.
Greg, I got two things. We had our County Commission Association District meeting Thursday in Elba to discuss the gas tax, and legislative session is fixing to start back up, and the gas tax will be one of the main priorities we're trying to, the association is trying to push through. And last year, they gave us a questionnaire to fill out, and we've got it now reduced to a little summary. I'll be glad to get us to whoever would like to see it, newspaper especially. It shows our infrastructure and our shortfalls and our funding and where we stand. So this is very important, I think, to get out to the public, let them know to help support the gas tax when it comes up. I definitely request talking to our representatives all to try to support this as best we can.
As we've mentioned here before, it's important to the future of this county to be able to maintain our infrastructure and improve our infrastructure. And it's been a long time since there's been an increase. I saw an interesting article yesterday about the conservative approach to tax increases, and they had 3 points that they suggested. And they're certainly valid points, and the commission should consider them, I think, as we consider how we support this moving forward, or if we do.
And our National Association of County Engineers, our NACE conference, has been held in Wichita, Kansas this year, but in 2020, it's been held in Baldwin County for the whole nation. So, and we're promoting the state. Each county's been tasked with taking our little NACE county road sign, and it's been passed all the way down North Alabama now. It's down here in our region. I used it last week and took a picture of some major landmarks, just kind of promote the county, like courthouse, Gant Lake, Lake Jackson Op, and Florella. We took pictures with our NACE sign in front of all these landmarks, and that'll be used to help promote the whole state as a whole, not just Covington County, but the whole state as a whole. There, with each county showing some of their highlights, their landmarks. That'll be in April of 2020.
Will there be other opportunities to expand that display from Covington County, or is that it? That was kind of a one-time shot.
They just wanted just a few, just a few.
Okay.
But
All right.
that's being used to help promote the county, and like I said, be a lot of exposure here in 2020 for that.
All right. Ms. Carey?
Okay, I just wanted to point out that normally the first meeting in February, we levy our taxes. The law changed on that. You only have to do that now if you change the taxes by the last meeting in February. But since ours are remaining the same, I just wanted to point that out, that we did not make any changes to that. Therefore, that's not gonna be a needed item for us.
Okay. Anybody else? Commissioners?
I had mentioned to Lynn about maybe giving us an update on the
Pigeon Creek.
Pigeon Creek Bridge.
Yes, and I apologize. Yeah, we after our meeting, this past meeting, I was actually contacted by our representative for the new landowner, and our talk went very, very well with our land acquisition. So hopefully next month or two, we'll hopefully have that resolved and get something moving up there for that area.
Well, we'd love to see that. Anything we
Yes.
can do from our end to
Yes.
move that along, let us know. If there's nothing else, before we adjourn, let me mention Sophia, Representative Mike Jones' daughter has been ill, as many of you are aware, and we want to be sure to keep them as a family and her individually in our prayers and thoughts, and we just pray for a speedy and full recovery for her. Anything else? If not, a motion to, yes, sir, you may. Third time's a charm.
Third time's charm. The sheriff's department's email, I want to let y'all know this, we've changed it some. If we go by the covcounty.com, I guess the last part, you can put in our first name, last name, covcounty.com, and you'll get whoever you're wanting to find. So, in other words, having all these different email addresses and trying to keep up with them, we made it easy. So,
Good, very good, thank you, that is helpful. Anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn would be in order.